Now we're going to use CTS pots, or a USA made good quality pot. The problem is, on a USA pot, the shaft here, this little brass part, is larger diameter than the Chinese pots, which are smaller, so they won't fit through the holes. So the easiest way to deal with enlarging that hole is to ream it out with a reamer. This is a reamer I bought at Radio Shack years ago. You can spend $50 on this reamer from a guitar supply place, or you can go to Radio Shack and probably get it for about $15 now. If you try to drill these out with a drill bit, it's risky because you can wind up cracking the wood. It's easier just to take a reamer. And I'll show this so that you can see how it's done. Just kind of move it back and forth while you push very gently. If it's a sharp reamer, it's not going to take a lot of pressure. The reamer makes a tapered hole, so you have to get it from both sides a little bit. I think that's going to work. Yeah, just a little bit more on these two. Yeah. Yes, okay. Make sure our jack fits. It sure does. Okay. Now we're going to put the pickups in. You need to feed the neck pickup wire. That's a bridge. Feed the neck pickup wire through the hole first, because it goes underneath the bridge pickup before it goes into the control cavity. So if you put the bridge pickup in first, you wouldn't be able to get the wire for the neck pickup into the control cavity. So I'm going to grab this wire, pull it through a little bit. I'll wrap this up so I can stuff it back in the control cavity so the guitar doesn't wind up laying on the wire and scratching it. Also, it doesn't matter which side the wire comes out when you put the pickup in. It can go in either direction. This wire could come off that side, and the wire on the bridge could come off that side. It's not going to matter. It doesn't have any effect on phasing. You can flip them any way you want. Whatever is easiest to fit through the holes. Putting the pickup cover on. I'm going to put the height adjustment screws through. The spring, you know what, I'm going to cut that down a little bit more, so there's just a little bit of, maybe about 1/8 of an inch of spring going beyond the screw. You don't want to have too much tension on the springs, or else you won't be able to screw the pickup down far enough before the springs completely collapse and can't go down any farther. So that's why I trimmed them down. What do we got here? That feels about right. It's nice and tight. Come on. There it goes. Beautiful. So I got about 1/8 of an inch there. Figure that your string's actually going to be a little bit higher off the fret than right there. So 1/8 of an inch should be plenty to give you for adjustment. And note that the pole pieces can go down a little bit farther on this too. So let's go to the bridge. Shove it in that hole in the back. I prefer having springs underneath the P90 so that you can adjust them up and down, and you can also adjust how much tension is on the pickup. The less tension you have, the more microphonic it's going to be. If you like microphonics, you'll want to mount the pickup a little bit more loose, and if you want less microphonics, you don't cut the springs down quite as much and make it tighter. You can even on bridge pickups, because they're usually up much higher out of the cavity, they'll tend to wobble around and vibrate a little bit more. So sometimes a bridge pickup will be more microphonic, and in that case, if it is too microphonic for you, you can take a piece of foam like what came in the box with the pickups and wrap it up into a little ball and put that underneath the pickup in addition to the springs, and that will usually cure any excess microphonics. Again, I'm going to cut these down so that they're about the same length as the screw. Just a slightly longer. That way when I put that in there, all I have to do is just push on the screw a little bit and it'll find the hole. You want to be really careful not to let that screwdriver slip off the screw and gouge anything. So, yeah, I think that's probably going to be good. Won't really know until we get the strings on it. May have to go back in and clip the screws down, or the springs down a little bit more. So I'm going to finish putting these screws in here. And another thing to notice is the pick guard that I've made here has a plastic protective coating on top of it, a little film, and you'll pull that off after you get all done. That'll protect it from getting scratched. But that's why it looks kind of dull and funny looking. It's because that plastic, once you pull it off, it's really shiny. Now we're done with that. I'm going to go ahead and wire up the controls, but I'm going to use a little card that I've made that has all the holes in the same position as the guitar body. That way I don't have to solder inside the guitar or anywhere near the guitar, because we're going to make a whole new wiring harness for it. So it's just easier to mount all your components on this board, flip it over and do all your soldering. It's away from the finish, you can't hurt the guitar.